Good morning, grade 5s, and welcome to our NST lesson. Our lesson for today is going to be on processing of materials. In grade 4, you learnt that people manufacture new materials from raw materials like sand, clay, coal, and oil. We call this manufacturing or this changing of one item into another processing. So processing is an operation that changes the original material to get a new product with new properties. Note that it becomes a new product with new properties. What are raw materials? Raw materials are basic materials from which a product is made, or raw materials are materials in their original state before they are processed or changed. So there are two types of raw materials here. Some of them are in their original state. Nothing has been done to them. You extract them, for example, from the ground, and you haven't done anything to them. We call those raw materials. Some of them have been processed already, but then you've got to put them together to come up with yet another new product. So raw materials can be processed to create new materials. For example, look at this picture here. I've got my raw material, which is my maize or my corn. When you go into a maize field, you're going to find your corn in this state here. That is corn in its original state. We then process that corn or that maize, and look what comes out. We have a totally new product that is processed. Okay, so this is our processed material and it's totally new. This new product looks completely different from the original product. This same product tastes different from that one. Alright, so the raw material looks totally different from the outcome. The raw material will taste completely different from the outcome. And when we process these items, we actually lengthen their shelf life. They actually stay fresh for longer. If you take your maize, your corn, for example, from the field, after 2 days or so, it doesn't have the right taste anymore. But once you process it, you can actually keep this for longer. And I'm sure you've checked your cornflakes box and you've been told that it expires in 2021 or something like that. It's because it has been processed. Once it has been processed, it gains shelf life and it tastes better and it looks completely different from the original product or from the raw material. We also have another example here. I've got gold ore. Remember we said that gold ore is that rock in its original state, the rock that contains the mineral. So when you dig for gold ore, you come up with something like this. And then you process it. There, you've processed it, and look what comes out. So we've got a gold ring, which looks completely different from this. Even to the touch, it's different because it has been processed. Ingredients can be considered as raw materials. Remember, ingredients are those things that you buy. For example, if we are looking at the ingredients in the kitchen, for example, ingredients are those things that you buy. So you buy these things, you put them together, and then you come up with a different product. Let's look at a simple example. Making tea, for example. For you to make tea, you need to have a tea bag. You need to have some milk, water, and sugar. These ingredients are put together and you get a cup of tea. But when you look at the 4 ingredients, they are totally different from what comes out, which is your cup of tea. So what you do is you combine these 4 ingredients to make a new product. And then some of these ingredients that you are combining are in their original state. Some of them are in the processed state. If we look at our tea, for example, most of our ingredients in the tea are processed. Look at your milk. Your milk comes in a box. Yes? When you go to a farm, you'll never find your cows producing milk in a box. So it has been processed and then it has been packaged and put away. It lasts longer. Yes? When you look at your tea bags come from a tea bush. Alright? On the field, you'll find the bush. That is tea in its original state. It is then processed and put into little bags. And then it lasts longer. And then you have your sugar. Your sugar comes from sugar cane. The sugar and the sugar cane look completely different. And it lasts longer if it's in the grains than if it's the sugar cane. Okay. And then your water, of course, yes, you can get water from the river to make your tea, which is fine, but the water that we get from our taps has been treated. Okay? So you have these 4 ingredients that you put together, and once you've combined the 4 ingredients, you come up with your tea, which is totally different from what you put in the first place. So at times, some of the processed material becomes the raw material for other products. That's what I'm talking about. So you've got your processed, put them together. They are the raw material for you to have this cup of tea. All right. So let's look at this cake. Beautiful. It's moist. It's brown. Looks delicious. And looks like it has taken the shape of whatever tin it was baked in. But for us to have this kind of cake, we need to mix a couple of ingredients. Look at all these ingredients here. They look totally different from what comes out. And some of these ingredients here have been manufactured or they've been processed. Vanilla, for example. This comes from a bush. Yes. Butter comes from milk, totally different from its raw material. You have your instant coffee coming from your coffee beans, totally different. Okay, so these ingredients have been put together for us to be able to produce this one. And when we look at the texture and the feel, these are totally different. They don't feel the same. They don't taste the same. They don't look the same. So once you process something, it changes the way it looks, it changes the way it feels, it changes its properties. Here, your sugar is rough to the touch, but when you hold your cake, it's soft and it's spongy and it's full of moisture. All right. You can't feel the salt in the cake, but when you touch that salt there, it's got those granules and it feels a bit rough. Okay, so these products have been put together so that you have that outcome there. Okay, so this is what processing is all about. So for today's activity, you are going to look at page 85 in your NST textbook, activity 1. What I've done is I have put all the questions down here because we realize that some of you don't have your textbooks with you. So if you don't have your textbooks with you, you can still answer the questions using what I have here. The first question says, look at the raw materials in A. Okay, these are the raw materials in A that we mix to bake a cake. All right. And then first part of the question says list the materials. So list all the raw materials that you need in order to bake this cake here. Here are the raw materials, you need to list those. Which of them are solid raw materials? Now you are bringing in your 3 states of matter. Remember we said 3 states of matter are solid, liquid and gas. 3 states of matter are solid, liquid and gas. Alright, so which ones of these are solid? And then C says, write down words to describe each material. To describe, that is your key word there. When we are talking about describing words, we are looking for those words that will give you in detail what you are trying to talk about. For example, if I had to give you a word to describe the cake flour, I would say powdery, okay? Because it's got a bit of powder. Maybe for sugar, I would say it's got little grains or it's granular, okay? So do the same for all the other items here. And then the next one, which is D, says describe the properties of the dough when raw materials have been mixed. So once you mix everything, you have that dough before you can bake it. Describe it. How is it? Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it cold? Is it sticky? Does it take the shape of its container? Talk to me about it. Alright. Describe. Tell me in detail. Give a detailed account in words. And then you can use your senses as well to help you with the description there. And then question 2 says, picture B shows the finished product, which is the cake. There is our picture B showing the finished product. Describe the properties of the cake. Describe the properties. How does it feel? Is it malleable? Do you think it's ductile? Do you think it's soft? Is it hard? Is it moist or whatever? Give me a good description of what the cake looks like, feels like, tastes like, okay? And then what changes the dough into a cake, okay? So that's the question. What is it that changes that dough into a cake? What do you do in order for the dough to be later called a cake? What is it that changes from this sticky dough to the cake? Alright. And then C, which ingredient made the dough rise? Remember, the ingredients are those things that you put into the cake. So which one here made the dough rise? Okay, that's your work for today. It shouldn't take you long. I think approximately 30 minutes. Not even 30 minutes, 15 minutes you should be done with this activity. I hope you enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.